Hello, and welcome to Global Insights on China's Economy, which is a special series of high-end interviews with movers and shakers, economists, and industry watchers. I'm Tian Wei in Beijing. Our guest is Achim Steiner, UNDP administrator, sharing his insights on China's sustainable growth and its shift to a green economy in an exclusive interview.
Achim Steiner is the administrator of the United Nations Development Program, where he leads global efforts to promote sustainable development. Since 2001, he has been a member of the China Council for International Cooperation on Environment and Development, advising on China's green transition policies. With deep insights into China's economy, Steiner has emphasized the country's crucial role in developing global green economy, focusing on its efforts to integrate environmental responsibility into economic development.
How do you see, as the head of a UN agency, the latest situation of the Chinese economy?
Many countries at the moment, including China, are going through a period where disruption and shocks are more pronounced than maybe in the 10 years before. Some of those have to do with bilateral relations, some of it have to do with economic disruptions, the financial crisis, the debt crisis. All of these have affected our overall economic progress, and that inevitably is reflected in domestic policies and also sometimes dilemmas. Now, China is still in a, I think, very privileged position from the point of view that it is such a large economy, it can absorb some of these shocks. Having said that, I think particularly in this moment of economic uncertainty, the policy decisions of government matter a great deal. Where is the stimulus package? In which direction should our next technology frontier go? How do we deal with the fact that there's a risk of leaving many people behind, particularly when job markets contract? These are difficult choices to make. But I think China at the moment is still very clear in terms of the direction in which it is moving, but it has to adjust in the short term to developments that are perhaps sometimes unforeseen. I think we are about to enter a very intense period of thinking about the next 5-year plan in China. I think this will be a key moment to, in a sense, test also the assumptions about the future and where China will maintain direction and where it maybe will adjust directions.
How do you see China's strategic choice of switching the automotive industry to the electronic vehicles, for example, and also the kind of approach it's using for communicating with others about why it made the decision and what it means, this decision for itself, China, and the others?
I think China's very deliberate decision to invest heavily in cleaning up its electricity generating infrastructure. The interesting thing is that China is today at a point where it has succeeded in making the transition towards a green economy not only a challenge in terms of investments and costs, it's actually creating the jobs of the future, the economic sectors of the future. In China, next year, more solar and wind power will be produced than in the whole rest of the world put together in terms of infrastructure being built. It also allowed China to very rapidly generate what economists call economies of scale. The more you produce of something, the lower the cost per unit. That allowed China to, in a sense, reduce the cost of transition. But let us also be clear, many parts of the world have benefited from that because the price, the cost of installed kilowatt hour solar or wind power has just dropped by 80%. 600 million people still don't have access to electricity on the African continent. Solar, off-grid technology, but also wind power, geothermal, these are all sources that will allow Africa, maybe over the next 20 to 30 years, to generate significantly more electricity, but without being dependent on imports.
China is emerging as a global leader in the green economy, driving both domestic industrial growth and international competitiveness. The country's investment in energy transition reached $676 billion in 2023, making it the world's largest investor in the field. The transition to renewable energy is accelerating, with renewables now contributing over 35% to the country's electricity generation. These efforts not only boost China's industrial output, but also strengthen its position in global green supply chains, especially in areas like solar panel production and EV manufacturing. China's electric vehicle sector is already the largest in the world, with exports reaching $42 billion in 2023, while also creating millions of jobs in the renewable energy sector.
China took a very strategic decision to bet on the transition towards electric vehicles, shifting an entire generation of mobility onto a new platform. It has done so very fast, and it is now entering the world market. The fact that we have seen this year an automotive market, i.e. the mobility sector in China, having almost every second vehicle sold being an electric vehicle, nobody would have predicted that 5 years ago. So you can see that technology, policy, transition has reached a point of scale where in fact China has an enormous opportunity to decarbonize its economy, but also to become a leader in a global context in that green economy or in the green technology sectors that will drive development tomorrow. And ultimately, we are a global economy that will move towards green energy, green transportation, and China finds itself now in a very privileged position because it is advancing very rapidly. Many countries are having to make choices right now that are difficult ones. How to quickly invest in new technologies, new mobility systems. And I think if we were perhaps in a slightly less polarized geopolitical moment, we would see the opportunity for cooperation much more clearly. But that is not so easy right now.
I really wonder, after being the head of UNDP, after being back and forth between China, New York, and many other places around the world, what is your take of working with a country like China?
I think that ability of being able to look outside in order to then develop one's own way forward has been a key factor in the way that China has been able to leverage both modernization technologies, but also policy experiences, and then translate them into China's own path. But take the China Council on International Cooperation and Environment Development. It has become a forum now for 3 decades in which China invites leading experts from around the world to work with leading experts in China to look at environmental policies. And initially it was all about emission reduction and pollution problems. Then it became more a question of energy transitions, mobility transitions. Today we are discussing ecological civilization, the green economy of tomorrow. And I think this is also an expression of how quickly China has embraced transformation and modernization.
Seek truth from facts, once again.
Indeed.
Achim Steiner, UNDP Administrator, what a pleasure, sir, to see you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wei. It's a pleasure to be with you.